Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the very latest episode of the NORA Webcast series. Today, we are speaking with Volcanic and Aspire, but just to bring everyone up to speed with where we are in the progress towards the NORAs. The NORAs event next week is on Wednesday, the 10th of November in London at the Carisbrooke Hall, which is near Marble Arch Tube Station. We are filling up the seats very, very quickly. So if you haven't booked your tickets already, then please make sure that you do. We have tickets still available. And a lot of people have been asking me, is it black tie? What's the dress code? The dress code is whatever you want it to be, although we do expect people to be relatively dressed up. Jeans and t-shirts are unlikely, but come for a good time. We have a live band on stage. We've a full event. There's going to be plenty of refreshments. Please get yourself along. Two people who are, one person who's definitely going to be there, the other person who's going to try and be there are my two guests today. So let me just bring to the stage Darren Curtis and Tommy Styles. Darren from Volcanic. How are you, Darren?
I'm doing okay despite a cold, to be honest. But yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm good.
That's never trust a sneeze these days. And Tommy, how are you?
Yeah, Aspire? Very good, thank you. Yeah, very good.
Fantastic. And Tommy, just to be clear, sometimes it's the case where the people who are making all the noise are not the people who you see and hear so much. But you're the global marketing leader with Aspire. Can you tell us a bit more about Aspire and what you do there?
Yeah, so Aspire as a company is coming into its 30th year next year. Long history in marketing, digital and media, sales, graduates, recruitment. Technology is a new area we've gone into. We've also got some IP recruiters in there as well. And we're in the UK, APAC and the US as a business. And I support all those geographies with their marketing output. And putting together a sales-first strategy for marketing.
Yeah. Marketing is something, obviously, it's a core part of what Aspire does, but because of the long history of the way that you have used marketing, it's a big challenge to be in that role because there's a reputation there already. And as we've seen, and we'll get on to talking about the Aspire website is a great example of that. So, Darren, for people who don't know, and if they don't, then shame on them. Can you tell us a bit more about yourself and Volcanic, please?
Yeah. So, I'm Darren Curtis. Thanks very much for the intro. I've been at Volcanic really since the commercialization, I shall say, of the business back in very, very early of 2016. So yeah. I founded the Volcanic sales team. We grew the sales revenue quite substantially across the UK, Europe, the globe. And I generally typically look after the much larger of opportunities coming into Volcanic. So Tommy being one of them, a number of others. But yeah, I'm essentially enterprise now, so looking after the bigger organisations that onboarded this.
Yeah. What would be the typical larger organisations that people will know of that are?
Yeah, great question. So we support 18 of the 19 European countries Kelly services at the moment. The only one we don't support is Russia, and that's because we host with AWS, which the Russians don't seem to like hosting data in American server centers, although it is based in Dublin. We support 23 websites across the globe for manpower. We work for with some of the Impellium brands. Yeah. Spencer Ogden recently gone live with us, and those guys are, I think, nominated as well for the NORAs. Obviously, Tommy and the guys at Aspire. There's a multitude of different large recruitment organisations that are Volcanic users, as well as anybody in between as well. So from sort of growing SMEs and startup organisations, we're able to support across the market with various different products.
Yeah, and very much dedicated to this sector. There are lots of developers out there who have fingers in lots of pies, but Volcanic is all about recruitment.
Only recruitment. So we power in excess now of 1,800. That's 1800. 1,800 different recruitment websites now across the globe. So yeah, quite some number within a relatively short space of time, if you think about it. We certainly weren't the first to market to be recruitment specific, but we seem to have grown more rapidly than any of our peers, which is part of having a good team around you, but having a good product, having a good client base, that all aids.
I have to say, I've always been astonished at the speed of growth of Volcanic over the years. So the past 18 months, question for both of you, the past 18 months has been nuts. There's no other one for it, really. How have both of you been able to manage through that process, and what has it meant to your relationship between Aspire and Volcanic, and what gets put out in terms of what candidates are seeing online? Tell me first of all.
Sure. So it kind of worked perfectly with what we were doing at Aspire. The relationship with Volcanic started. So I joined Aspire in June last year, and obviously that was right kind of in the middle of everything that was going on. But what it gave the opportunity to do was to sort of start again, which is one of those things you don't often get entering a new job, is to just go, well, this is great. I'm almost can start again at zero. I think recruitment marketeers, we all know that coming into between 2017 and 2019, if we looked at our budgets and we looked at our number of sources, we could probably go, we got quite a lot of stuff we probably don't need, but you don't really end those relationships unless there's something like this that forces you into hard restart. So what I was able to do was almost start everything from scratch, keep what worked and just rebuild and lose stuff. And one of those things was the website needed a refresh. It was a great website we'd had, but it was 4 or 5 years old. We needed something fresh. Got in touch with Volcanic and spoke to Darren, and we did it really quickly. So I think from contract signed to live, we had 4 websites up within 3 months. And if I just, one of the things Darren's saying earlier, one of the reasons I really liked Volcanic was essentially it gave you a Rolls-Royce engine that you could stick anything you wanted on top. And that's kind of what you want from a recruitment website, is you need all the bits to work and all the behind the scenes machine to click along. And so we could paint whatever we wanted on the top. But in terms of what I wanted to do and build out and bring all of our tech together and everything like that, perfect time to do it.
So all of that working from home was absolutely fine for the project in hand, where you're as you say, you're rebuilding the site from scratch as opposed to tinkering with what you already had. And I know that's often a big problem or issue with marketing managers. Do we try and fix what we have, or do we go back to the drawing board? Yeah.
So it was just rip it up, start again. Our developers were in some expats who are working in Malaysia, so it gave it this beautiful sort of 24-hour feel where they would do something while I was asleep, and then I would come to work, review it, send changes, finish work, and by the time I came in the next morning, those were done. So it had like this really nice synergy to it. Actually, it was really, really smooth.
So I'm not even remotely in this level, but I've been building websites myself for 20 odd years, and I know that every single website, there are on every page there are 100 different decisions to be made, and it's those little decisions that slow down the decision-making process. And the relationship between the developer and the client is crucial, because lots of decisions don't get made until you're in the middle of it. You can't really plan in advance. Mike Tyson always says that everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face. And when you're building a website, a lot of the questions you don't realize what the questions are until you're in the middle of things. Darren, how did the relationship build and help to make sure that the Aspire site was what they wanted at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I think Volcanic, the very nature of it means that it takes a lot of the guesswork away from it. When you look at things that are the most powerful pages on any recruitment website are things like the job search and the vacancy view pages and the application pages, and where the UX works for that. We don't have to reinvent the wheel with any of that. We've got a tried and tested method that works across so many websites. One of the phrases that I use quite frequently is we contextually reposition, which is another word for stealing, essentially, how e-commerce works. You can bring sort of the same process that a candidate would go through in their daily life when they're not a candidate, searching for items on Amazon or whichever e-commerce website, but bring it into their work life, the work life being searching for a job, essentially. We can do that and do that successfully. It means they know how to use it. They understand the UX already. So a lot of that process is almost taken away from the client because they don't need to worry about it.
Yeah.
Things that they do need to worry about are obviously brand image and sort of how they're accentuating the brand. They do need to look at the sort of the journey of how pages go from one to another, not the application process, the job search page.
Yeah.
Now they're looking to capture sort of more passive seekers through really, really good content. But the content comes out of the great work that Tommy or any of our other clients are putting in, but then sort of making sure that we're able to gate content as well for generating leads for potentially client leads as well. So in essence, I mean, we try and make it as easy as possible. I know, hopefully Tommy will say the same thing. That was actually what we managed to do for those guys as well.
Yeah.
Just by understanding that market and understanding how people want to move through a website takes a lot of the time away from the marketing things that we work with, really.
Yeah. I've seen quite a few companies go and pay for and buy a website off the shelf, a ready-made solution, and it really feels authentically them. So I know that one of the big challenges that no matter how many clients you have, client A, B, C, they all are different in what they do and how they do it and how they want to present themselves. So even though you've got, as you say, that Rolls Royce engine underneath, being able to paint what you want on top and being able to get that across to yourselves is vital. And as you say, candidate expectations, they are continually evolving in terms of what they expect an experience on anything online to be, whether it be on a recruitment website from a recruitment agency or a job board or an employer, or going on eBay or YouTube or Amazon. They expect websites to work in certain ways, and more than that, they expect on these devices the content to work in a particular way. What would you say would be the key challenge in making sure that the Aspire site was mobile first?
Is that a question for me or for Tom? I mean, I'll have to pick up initially. I mean, because of when Volcanic launched, if we go back to, a couple of years really before I started with the organisation, when we were going through product development and really building out a proposition, it was the sort of the mobile visitor boom back then.
Yeah.
And I think it started off when people were visiting mobile phones that everybody really wanted a web app or an app, and those types of solutions come with problems, and mobile responsive, mobile adaptive websites don't necessarily. And so when we started, we were always not necessarily mobile first, but we had a clear eye on mobile users and mobile visitors. Yeah. So even to today, we follow that same process. So and there's been new releases to Google. I mean, AMP is a big one for mobile phones, and Google Core Web Vitals update was about layering and sort of understanding journeys and stuff, which can boost performance across mobile. But so for us, I think it was just timely when we launched, allowed us to understand it more sort of intimately, to be able to then pass on that knowledge across to our clients when they do get their websites. I mean, we never really had a problem with that. The one thing I sort of will say is that even if a website is responsive, that's one part of the jigsaw, right? It's getting the website to move around and fit into the mechanism. Yeah. But it's the adaptive nature that can change the way that people use it. And what adaptive does is it can start to recognize that somebody's coming from a mobile phone device and serve up a slightly different experience. Uh-huh. So the different experience could be the navigation being slightly different. It could be that forms have different mandatory fields because they're much more difficult to use on mobile phone devices. Uploading the CV is difficult via a mobile phone device unless you've got Dropbox or Google Drive and so we introduce things like Apply with LinkedIn and the likes to try and speed up that process and make it easier for the user. So for us, it was, I think it was timely when we launched, and that sort of knowledge, all that knowledge we built back then still sort of flows into the work that we do today. And so it sort of helps to take it away from the client. They just need to worry about, is it fitting nicely when we hand it over? Does it go through the QA testing?
Yeah.
And I think on the side of the recruitment businesses, responsiveness, as you say, is that's a key part of it. But the other side of it you need to think about is your customer and them landing where they want to be. Because I think maneuvering around a website on a desktop is really easy. Maneuvering around any website on your mobile immediately seems very tedious. And so making sure people end up where they want with ease of movement or all the information they're looking for, that's where you as the recruitment business really have to get your content right.
It always seemed like one of the more tedious aspects of websites, but when companies push the boat to try and have a fancy website, it's often the case that what's sacrificed is ease of navigation. The menus are all over the place. You get lost. You don't know how to get back to where you were on mobile, and all of those things that frustrate candidates just lead to them leaving the site. And all of these things are vitally important if you're looking to build a relationship with them. On that mobile friend, if anyone's not quite grasping that, on the NORA website, when you go to it on a mobile phone, what you'll see is this, which is quite different to what you see on the desktop website. So having different content for different platforms. So on what you were saying there, Tommy, how do progressive recruitment agencies gather information from those website behaviors and learn from that, and then tweak what you have and evolve the website to meet the needs of those candidates?
Yeah, I think one is analytics is your friend. Look at the way people are moving. Look at the stats. Look at the information. I think the thing that a lot of people forget is you yourself are a consumer. You yourself are a customer for someone. How you would use something is probably a decent indication. If you're doing something and you think, "Oh, this doesn't seem really intuitive to me," or "This menu part seems a bit odd," it probably is. So you're a consumer. You use these things all the time. Retail websites are setting things up for you. If you know how you would navigate through something, and suddenly you're building a navigation that you think seems a bit cloudy, don't.
Yeah. It's a great place to start, but of course, also remembering that candidates have different personalities. They have different likes and so on. So some candidates might love images everywhere. Some candidates might want to read more and more text and dig into things, and as well as people like to use different platforms and so on. So I suppose thinking of the psychology of people who have different preferences and how they not only use your website, but how they respond to your social media platform content. Yeah. So anything that you're putting out, if someone's coming to your site from a link on Facebook or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, then knowing where they've come from can affect how you present the content to them, because that speaks to their preferences for look and style and feel. Yeah.
We're quite a content-heavy company anyway, with the areas that we're in and the sort of way we like to set ourselves up as a company and what we want to do with our marketing. So we have things like a salary guide and white papers and reports, but also multiple blogs and longer form pieces. So we're quite content-heavy, so that helps us because then everything's connected. But when I've worked in built environment businesses, you're looking at sort of the other, getting directly to the job. That's what you want to do with it.
What we've done this year in the NORA is the judges were given instructions not to only look at the website itself, but to look at the social media platforms. So video content, anything going out on the the LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, threesome. So all of those lead to the platform, and the platform is, of course, where you hope to absorb the information about candidates and engage with candidates through. So Darren, can I ask, how does your technology directly benefit recruiters themselves on the front line, and by extension, how do job seekers feel that benefit?
So does it benefit recruiters or recruitment businesses?
Frontline recruiters, so the recruiters who are posting their vacancies.
Yeah, I mean, the first is our biggest aim is to try and improve the amount of candidate traffic and the amount of candidate conversions that are coming through the system. So if we can drive a higher candidate conversion, it means that recruiters are going to have more candidates to work, essentially. So from feeding out to various different aggregation sites, from job alerts, from good SEO and SEO landing pages and campaign pages. Obviously the asset has to be sweat, and it has to be sweat by marketing teams. But the first one is we should be driving higher candidate acquisition into a recruitment organisation. Now, at the moment, where there is such a shortage of talent, and I was only on a webinar this morning talking about the shortage of talent, that can only be a value add. Now, at the same time, I mean, recruiters very seldomly log into Volcanic. It is a marketing tool. So recruiters, very, very few that I would know of that would actually log into the Volcanic solution. But their touch point with it is generally through integration. So with it, either them working in the normal environment within Broadbean or within one of the integrated CRMs, means they never need to leave their connected workspace, so their CRM or the tools that they already use, to actually get information onto the website. It means it doesn't disrupt their sort of working pattern. It just works in the same way. Then if they can do that and they do it right, and we can start to see the benefits of applications and higher volumes of applications, then they're winning. One of the things actually that's worth mentioning, I'm not sure if Tommy, if you use this, but there's performance reports that sit within the back of Volcanic. It can actually work on a consultant level. Now, what it can do is it can look at the individual consultants and it can tell you the number of jobs being posted and their conversion rate. So in turn, what that can start to do to give Tommy visibility of, it can start to see which consultants are either A, not very good at writing job ads, B, not sharing their vacancies across social channels to drive engagement or not marketing their vacancies, and C, start to identify training opportunities or areas where the marketing team could go and sort of speak to those individuals about increasing the performance. So those types of reports, I think, are always invaluable. So, that part can also benefit a recruiter. If a marketing team are going in and speaking to the sales floor and saying, listen, Joe is doing this really well, and that's why he or she has got such a high conversion rate. Joe is marketing vacancies. She's writing really good job ads. She's sharing her job ads. She's become a marketeer within our team. Or Jack, he just puts a job ad on and he hopes for the best. So it gives you that visibility to make better decisions and allow for marketing teams to hopefully drive better performance through the sales floor. So in terms of how can it help? Well, it can help, first of all, in terms of not changing the process, but generating applications, but hopefully identify training opportunity as well.
It's certainly the case that recruiters have always been, even though it might not have been said out loud, have always been marketeers. They are, in perm recruitment anyway, they tend to be a self-contained business unit. They sell a service, they deliver the service, they engage with clients and candidates, and they do all of those things. And they're continually promoting the message that they're, that they're working on that day, that minute, that hour. And being able to engage with or partner with the platform, the website, to use the tool in a really engaged way, it can help them to fine-tune what they're doing, learn what's working, what's not working, drop the stuff that's unproductive, and focus what makes fees. So one thing I'm keen to do, if it's all right with you, and I know it's in advance of the NORAs next week, so we have no idea what the results are going to be for the NORAs next week. But if I can share the Aspire website, can you point out some of the key elements of the site that you'd want to draw attention to? So let me just do that now.
I'll let you do this for me. It's your baby.
So if you can see the website there, what I'd like to say first of all is, so when I go to the site initially, the first thing I'm seeing is that it's very clean. There's a lot less content than on lots of other websites, and it doesn't seem to be following the standard cookie cutter layout. You've got your job search box there, obviously. You've got a hero image in the middle. You've got the logo up the top. The logo, actually, I should say, the logo for Aspire, because it's not wider than it is tall, that stands out in itself. But the thing, first and foremost, I can see accessibility tools, and when I click on this opens up here. So if I want this to read out content,
image, link, upload CV.
So whenever I hover over these, this is reading out the content to me, and there's a whole load of
image 2021-02-11T1040.
There's a whole load of accessibility tools there for anyone who's coming to the site who might need a variety of assistance in getting through the content in the site. And the other thing, of course, and this appeals to me just from a visual point of view, when you do this is lovely. So it's one of those touchy-feely things, but again, the focus is on, you've got more in the middle. So the word more is going to be a good thing. So Tommy, can you tell me, what are you hoping for when people land on this on a desktop site, first of all, as we're looking at our own desktop?
Yeah, sure. So I'll talk to the accessibility tools just very quickly, and then dive into that. Well, that's one thing we're really pleased to have added recently, and this is again a benefit to Volcanic. very easy to add integration. It's also there's a lot of companies that they work with who you can who fit whatever you're looking to add, essentially. And we were doing lots of research last year into our own diversity and inclusion and looking at some of the national stats. And there's 20% of the UK population consider themselves to be disabled in some manner. And a lot of that's neuro disabilities and stuff like that. And actually, we realized our website just wasn't up to snuff with that. And there's a lot of people who maybe are not being given as good an opportunity to use our website and apply for roles. So adding that tool, we're really pleased, and looking at the stats, people are using it, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I would imagine that the stats are both enlightening and surprising because you would then see the extent to which people are using the tool.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes that accessibility button, you think, oh, great, and you click on it and it takes you to a long, wordy accessibility statement or just a text version. But actually, there's a variety of tools that are needed, like color change, the reading ruler, and all different things like that. So, yeah, really, really pleased to have added that, as well as it's got translation tools in it and stuff like that. In terms of landing on our website, I think one of the things we wanted to do was we wanted to make it really easy to apply for jobs. Make it really easy to find what I'm looking for. You know, if I've searched and come to the Aspire website, I'm probably looking for a specific role, or I'm going to check that what your recruiters just told me on the phone. Do you cover these areas if I'm a client, or you know, it's almost an online brochure. So making it really easy to find jobs and making that almost the center of it was really important.
Yeah. And again, clarity is absolutely essential at every turn whenever you're looking at the content. So if I went to any of these vacancies and read more, so I'm looking at the sales executive job in London, I can tell this job is being recruited for by Ellie Riley. There's no secret of who the recruiter is behind this. We can contact Ellie Riley straight away. We can go to Ellie's profile, and the ability to know from a candidate's point of view. One of the most popular things that we know that they feedback to us is, well, we want to know who's managing this vacancy, who's handling this vacancy. Are they experienced in this area? Is this my preferred recruiter? You know, do they know about the industry sector I work in? Do they recruit for these types of jobs on a regular basis? Do they know what they're talking about? Because we know that candidates more than ever are pushing back on recruiters who are, let's say, less than professional or not as experienced as they want. So I can see the vacancy here. I can make an application. If I want to see Ellie's profile, I can go into here and I know exactly who I'm dealing with. And especially when people are working from home or going on video calls and so on, then being able to see this sort of thing is absolutely essential. And we can get through to Ellie's LinkedIn profile and so on. So beyond that, I can then see the type of jobs that Ellie is recruiting for. We know that she's experiencing in this area, and these are the types of jobs that are live right now. So that gives a profile of the work that Ellie is doing right across the board. And as I say, from a candidate's point of view, that's great to see. Meet the team. People often browse through meet the team, and they like to pin down, right, who do I want to be dealing with? Who's the recruiter that seems to be best suited to me, and find that all of the jobs that they're working on. So I'll just go back to the homepage. Anything else that you want to point out here, Tommy?
No, I think on that side, we're a people business. Our people is what we're all about. We're actually quite a family-like business, even though we're a large recruitment business. Everyone's really close. But our people are everything in our success, really. So showcasing our people, as well as you say, if I'm interested in a sales role and I click through to look at that recruiter, I almost want to see customers like you also bought these sort of things. So I can see other jobs that this recruiter, who's an expert in what I do, what else are they advertising? Because I might also be interested. Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to close that just now, but I love to look at and share, and all of the judges do this as well. The experience, the websites that we're judging, we've had
just over 500 recruitment websites were nominated this year, and I've visited. I reckon I'm the UK's busiest job seeker. I've visited them all and registered and applied for jobs. I'll put a little apology in saying I'm only pretend applying for this job, but I'm going through the experience as a no. I didn't get any offers, Louise. I'm afraid. I'm much too old. But the experience that candidates have, recruiters and agency owners seldom go through the process of applying for a job via their own website, and that applies to agencies as well as employers, where the experience of going through the process is something that the people working in that business haven't done for a long time, if at all, and it's usually a big eye-opener. And certainly from the point of view of our judges, when they do that, and they're all experiencing HR, traditional recruitment or online recruitment, they often find it enlightening. Even if they've been a judge, over the past few years, then there's always something new. There's always new developments and trends that we're seeing. So on that front, Darren, I have to ask, as a fast-growing organisation with access to mountains of data from all of the websites that you're managing, from very, very large, the largest recruitment firms in the world, to some of the smallest, what trends do you see coming around in the past few months that are going to evolve further in the next 6 or 9 months?
Yeah, I mean the Recite Me accessibility banner, actually, which provided by a partner of ours, Recite Me. I was actually only spending some time with them at the weekend. Went to watch Newcastle, my team, get absolutely beaten by Chelsea, but that's another story. But we're seeing more and more people taking sort of that stance and being much more up to speed and forward thinking with things like that now than they ever have been. Oddly, I mean, some of the data that we have access to is obviously how people are coming into the sites, what type of devices they're using, and things along those lines. I mean, it's all anomalised data, but it's stuff that we can start to identify. During COVID, so during the time when everybody was locked down, I don't think it's a surprise to many, but mobile usage for websites almost dropped off the planet because everybody had their laptops available to them all of the time. It wasn't the fact that people were working from home, they were living at work. And certainly I felt that way anyway during the early stages. And we saw a massive shift in that, a huge shift in the fact that, more and more people just readily available having a laptop open. So mobile visitors just dropped off the face of the earth. Also, I mean, it's no surprise also the amount of traffic that comes into websites now from social channels. More and more recruitment organisations now are waking up to the fact that marketing is an extension of the business. I was only speaking earlier on this week, I can't remember who it was to, but I've seen some businesses where their third hire is somebody in marketing. Now, that was absolutely unheard of 5 years ago. And so we're now seeing more people marketing the websites and using it as a hub, as opposed to necessarily just going out to job boards, because I don't know the exact percentage figures, but there is the statistic to say that if you can generate applications for your own brand, you stand a much higher chance of placing them than you would do if they're on the job board, for obvious reasons, right? First of all, a candidate isn't applying to multiple jobs on job boards, multiple agencies, they're applying to multiple jobs within one brand. And secondly, that CV then doesn't find its way onto a database where anybody that has CV database access can use. So they stand a higher chance, and forgive me, I should know the percentage, but I don't. So we're seeing more and more marketing of company websites. We're seeing an increasing amount of traffic now coming from Google for Jobs. I think it's been really slow to get started. I mean, when it first came out, and this was a few years ago now, we were expecting it to really take on Indeed from day dot. And I mean, they control whether Indeed's going to work or not, let's be honest. It could be, without problems with monopoly, it could be that they switch Indeed off overnight, which they haven't done, and I don't think they can do. But we're seeing more traffic starting to come through from Google for Jobs, so that's only a sign that will continue that way. They're really sort of the headline.
So if Google for Jobs has matured in the way that in the way that they predicted, and some people in the industry thought it would go faster or slower, but if it's matured now, has that meant that any websites that are not optimized for the Google for Jobs schema, if they're not, then they're just not being found, or they're just not being indexed, or they're at the bottom of all search results.
Well, they won't be on Google for Jobs first and foremost.
Yeah.
And structured data and schema, the way that Google sort of indexes vacancies, that's not just about Google for Jobs. That's about how they index websites, regardless. So if they're not appearing on Google for Jobs, they miss out on the first 40 to 60% of the real estate on the homepage of Google.
Yeah.
You think now any type of job search that you run, with the exception of a few, I guess, the first part of Google is dominated by Google for Jobs.
Yeah.
So how far down the search, and that which essentially means that anybody that had search engine position 1 to 4 is now pushed a lot further down the page, and anybody that was at 6 to 10 is now on the second page. So it's completely changed how you look at SEO for recruitment organisations. And I think if you're not using structured data or websites compatible with Google for Jobs, and it's free, right? We don't have to pay for Google for Jobs at the moment. It's free. Then you're missing out on that what could be vital traffic and vital candidates that your competitors are. So for me, it's not dominating yet. But let's be honest, with the exception of Google Base, Google don't really get things wrong. And they've got enough money to make it work, even if it fails. So it will continue on that trajectory, I'd expect.
So, Tommy, final words. I've just noticed the time. We're ticking on a little bit past when we're supposed to. You're obviously finalist for best new website, formerly the best newcomer award. I think we need to make it clear that it's a new website. When was the new version of Aspire launched?
February this year.
So, are there any additional developments that we're going to be seeing based on the information you're learning about the behaviours of the site's use?
I think so. I think we're constantly trying and testing different things, see what works, what doesn't work. We'll continue to do that. We're going to build out our work for us this year. Obviously, when we built the website in February, internal hiring was not as high on the list because of just the nature of where we were. Now, suddenly, we're desperate to hire internally, so there's a lot more work needs to be done there.
Superb.
We built the website knowing we'd want to do a lot more with video, but not necessarily at the time. And now we're getting to that point where we want to do a lot more with video. So there's a lot more to do there, as well as talking about things like Google for Jobs and SEO and things like that, making sure we're there. The conversion rate from Google for Jobs is very, very high. When you look at it, it's the percentage conversion of traffic that comes through. So not only is it sending more traffic, actually that traffic really converts as well. So doing more to make sure our jobs are in front of the right people at the right time, that's the focus.
Yep, fantastic. The NORAs are obviously coming up next week. Darren, I know that you have a number of sites and clients where you've built the sites are finalists for the NORAs next week. I think it's more than 10 of the finalists.
I think it's 14 the last I looked.
Wow.
I think, which is a record for us. We always have a number, but 14 is pretty staggering.
So I should say that in the judging process of the NORAs, we rarely look at the bottom of the page to see who's developed a website because, well, frankly, there's already too much to do. But after we've whittled down to finalists, then we check out and see who the websites have been built with. It's not always clear, but Angela has just said that she didn't look once. That's absolutely fine, and it's a good thing because it means that the quality of the sites that have been shortlisted, if there are a fair chunk of them that have come from Volcanic, then that's a great thing. Well, great for Volcanic anyway. So the awards are next week on Wednesday the 10th. Tommy, I know you're going to be there. Dan, I know that there's going to be a whole range of people from Volcanic there. Best of luck for your finals for next week, and best of luck, Tommy, for yourself as well. It's going to be a great night. I've got to say thank you very much for being my guest today. It's a topic that I could speak about all day, every day, and probably bore the pants off, for the UK on it. But we have to stop it there. Thanks very much for everyone who's joined us in the chat bar, who's watching live, anyone who's watching on repeat, anyone who's watching on all of the social media channels that we're pushing out to LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch even. So all of those. please join us at the NORAs next week. I think we have another show coming up tomorrow with X1 Jobs, who are sponsors of our Academy Award next week. The Academy Award, I should point out, is the only award that we have where the finalists this year and in all previous years get to vote for the site that they believe is at the forefront of online recruitment excellence. So our finalists were announced yesterday for the Academy Award. The finalists are, I can tell you from memory, Adzuna, McCarthy Recruitment, and I think read.co.uk. If I get that wrong, then someone's going to shoot me. But I think those are the three finalists, and we'll know who the winner is going to be next week. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thanks to everyone who's been joining us, and goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.